Hello, everybody, and welcome to Money Matters. If you like to make money and enjoy learning about crypto and other investment topics, please subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy the content in these videos, then like them as well. Let's get into it. As usual, this channel is devoted to your financial freedom. As a disclaimer, I am not a financial advisor, nor can I or do I give financial advice. If you need such advice, please find yourself an accredited financial advisor. Let's take a look at the market. Same old, same old, same old, although there's a bit more green today. I had an inkling that there was going to be something exciting happening today in order to kind of spark us out of this downward trend. We're now below 50,000, but it didn't happen. Is that good? Is that bad? Well, it's okay. And here's why I'm saying that. If you look at the stock to flow video that we had, you look at the Bitcoin dominance charts, you can see that we're right. We are right where we're supposed to be in this market, historically speaking. That's if you compare this market with the 2013, 2012, 2013, 2016 markets. We are in a drawback right before things start to go very well. So relax. I've had a lot of people calling me and asking me what's going on. And this is just normal activity. There's nothing to be worried about. Don't go selling everything because it's down. That's not the time to sell. Of course, it's not financial advice, but I would not do that. Stay strong and just wait to see how things play out. I think you'll be happy in the end. Okay, Merry Christmas, everyone, in April. Now, I thought this would be a fun video if we could sit back and take some historical data modeling and try to predict what the price of Bitcoin Christmas 2021, that's this Christmas, will be. And there are some interesting things that came out of my research that I think that you'll enjoy. And I'm curious to hear in the comments what you all come up with for your predictions. So let's jump into it. Bitcoin, of course, as you know, has a halving every 4 years, at which time the Bitcoin that's being produced drops and is much, much harder to mine. So that being said, the supply is affected because there's not as much supply. The demand is increasing because more people are interested in it, including investors from the institutional realm. And so demand, supply, price, we're talking about Econ 101, and things happen. It's just the way it works. So there is no choice but for this to work as any other market would work. And if the supply goes down, the demand goes up, the price goes up, everybody's kind of happy. I'd like to make this a tradition every year to start in spring, early summer to see what we can come up with for predictions for Christmas Day for Bitcoin. It's the end of the year, it's Christmas, happy time, and we have some interesting ideas on it, and I think it'd be kind of fun. So here on this chart, we have the closes for, or the pricing, let's just say general pricing for Bitcoin for every Christmas since Bitcoin's documented inception. Let's just put it that way. So starting in 2010 when it was 27 cents. My, how I wish I could travel back in time because, oh well, I digress. On the list that we have here, look at the blue numbers, which indicate the year of halving. So in other words, in 2012, the price was $13 on Christmas Day, and that was the same year that Bitcoin had a halving. And that holds true for 2016 as well as 2020, the year where we just went through. Now, if you note on the chart here too, we have these pinkish purple numbers. That's the year directly following the halving, as we are now in 2021, which makes this an interesting exercise as we speak. So something to note on here is that the price did go up each year, but the year after the halving was a pretty big jump. It was a very substantial leap from the actual year before. So what does that mean? Let's take a look. You can see the patterns that are here. Obviously, the 4-year halving pattern, that's going to be the most blatant one on here. But after the first 4 years, Bitcoin reached $700 on Christmas Day of 2013. 4 years later, it reached about, let's just call it 14,000 in 2017. These were 4 years apart. They're 4 years, they're the year after the halving, so they're the same time frame in conjunction with one another. Okay. So if we take a look at what's happening today in 2021, most people would agree that this market cycle is predicted to end somewhere in December. Actually, I've heard like December 17th for this bull cycle. Let's just say it's going to end by the end of this year. I think that that's pretty common. I'm not really sure that we'll see traditional patterns as we did in the past. I think they'll start to meld together and the peaks and valleys will kind of level out a little bit. So if we go into some sort of a bear market, it's not going to be for near as long, for as near as far down as it has been in the past. But that's just to be seen. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. Remember, these are just projections that we're making based on the past. It's no guarantee of what might happen. But if you're of mind that think that history repeats itself, this is something to consider. At least one of the things that you can consider when you start looking at price predictions in the future. And if you're looking to buy Bitcoin now as an investment, you want it to go up. Wouldn't it be nice to know what it's going up to? That's kind of a fun thing too. So as we talked about earlier, in 2012, Bitcoin was at $13. The following year, it went up to 700, which is about a 54x. That's absolutely amazing. The following halving, so in 2016, we went $890 to 13,700, which is about a 15x. What do you notice there? Well, it went up, but the amount that it went up by was substantially lower. So does that mean we're going to have a substantially lower X rate this time around? Or does it go back to the initial rate? What do we know? Well, we do know that there's a lot of studies looking at Bitcoin pricing historical charts that say there are diminishing returns as we move forward through time. So in other words, though the value does go up, the magnitude at which that value goes up is substantially smaller. So if we keep that in mind, we can say that, okay, we can think or predict that Bitcoin will be going up in price. However, we cannot really guess with any fair certainty what that percentage will be. However, it seems to be lower based on history. Okay. So if these are predictions that are based on those percentages that we just looked at. So the forecast is anywhere between about 480,000 to 1.3 million. So if you use that 59 or if you use that 15% or 15x, you'll see that the numbers are fairly wide. If it continues to follow the pattern that we've seen, it will fall somewhere between those two. I think that I'm leaning more towards it'll fall below that, but we'll leave that for another time. My official number stands at $417,216. That is based on the current liquid supply of Bitcoin. That is the supply that's available to purchase in the market today, which is guessed to be about 4.2 million. The current price is as of today, sadly, which is 48.7. And my projected market cap of $10 trillion, the time Bitcoin will flip gold, which is going to be somewhere towards the end of 2022. So I truly believe that the market cap will be 10 trillion by that point in time. So given that fact, this is what I think that price will reach by this Christmas. It does seem outrageous. That's a huge number. However, we're looking at trends. We're looking at what Bitcoin's done since the beginning of Bitcoin. So is it really that far-fetched? I don't think so. And if you're new to crypto land, you should get used to these outrageous, crazy numbers because things happen here that don't happen in the real world, and they happen for real. So once you start believing, once you start looking, once you start understanding, you can see the benefits for some of these investments and how they can really help your future financial freedom. Let's do a quick recap. Again, the market is in a holding pattern. Don't worry. If you look to stock to flow, if you look at Bitcoin dominance, we are on the cusp of reaching the bottom of this fall, which I am seeing at about 42,000, and then start retracing back up. As soon as we retrace back up, we will see altcoins decouple. I think Ethereum has already decoupled. It's not being affected nearly as wildly as everything else. But the rest of the altcoins will decouple and start their parabolic run to mega highs and make people tons of money. We have one more wonderful reason to look forward to Christmas this year, and that's Bitcoin and the price predictions that are coming in. I'm going to stick with mine. 400,000 would be a really nice stocking stuffer. Once we do see, and this is something that I wanted to point out again too, because I've had this conversation with people before, bouncing this idea off of them, but just because it's happened in the past does not mean it will happen in the future. However, it is always good to look at history and to add some of the factors that are changing within our environment to those historical values to see how we might be able to manipulate those numbers going forward. In other words, we can say, well, there's political things that are happening in the world. There could be a pandemic, hopefully never again, but a pandemic, anything that would affect the world economy, sentiment, all types of things that could always play into any type of market, including cryptocurrency. So though we are making these predictions, nobody really knows what's going to happen based on the fact that it hasn't happened yet. And we can't predict the future. If we could, I would have bought Bitcoin in 2010 at 27 cents. I'd like to hear what you think. Leave a comment below and let me know what you predict the price of Bitcoin will be Christmas Day of this year. Try to look at some of the historical information that we looked at here and maybe include some of the things that you would like to include to augment that decision. In other words, if you think there are historical events or some big events that might be happening throughout the rest of 2021 that may affect that price, note that in your comment as well. I would be very, very interested. I'm sure everybody else would be too as well. Scammers again, everybody's out for your information, everybody's out for your money. It's just a terrible place, but you have to be vigilant, and it's up to you to make sure that you're safe. You make sure all of your anti-phishing software is up to date. Just be careful, everybody. And last but not least, winners never quit, and quitters never win. Always give your very best effort to overcome the challenges that you face in life. I hope you had a great day. I had a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.